The relentless pounding on the heavy oak doors echoed through the decrepit house, a sound so sharp it seemed to claw at the walls, reverberating down the shadowed corridors and seeping into every forgotten corner. The air, thick with the scent of mold and decay, carried a biting chill that slipped through the tattered curtains, whispering secrets of the forest beyond. This cacophony of knocks and breezes cloaked my presence, rendering my cautious footsteps silent, my breath invisible. The wind, fierce outside but softened within, smoothed the thick dust on the floor, erasing the faint trails of my intrusion. In moments, it would be as if I had never set foot in this forsaken place, my passage through its frost-kissed windows and sheet-draped furniture erased. Yet the knocking persisted, slow, deliberate, a rhythm that pulsed like a warning of something inevitable, something waiting just beyond the threshold. This house, if it could be called that, was my inheritance from my grandmother, Eleanor, a woman whose love for solitude and the wild had led her to this isolated manor, nestled deep within the heart of Blackthorn Hollow. The woodland surrounding it was a dense tangle of ancient trees, their branches weaving a canopy that choked out the sun, casting the house in perpetual gloom. The structure itself sagged under the weight of time, its 3 stories and 28 rooms leaning toward a glassy lake that lay still as death, reflecting only the murky sky above. The trees stood rigid, unmoved by the wind that roared through the hollow, their stillness a quiet comfort to me, though others might have found it unnerving. I pressed myself against the grimy wall of a second-floor bedroom, the air heavy despite every window being flung open. The knocking grew louder, a throbbing pulse in my ears, urging me to confront its source. My name is Daniel Marrow, and I was 32 when I first stepped into this house in the autumn of 2015. No one knew how Eleanor had come to own it, nor how long it had stood abandoned before her death. The police had no answers, their searches yielding nothing but shrugs and vague reports. The house was an anomaly, a stranger in the woodland, its very existence a puzzle that defied reason. I moved carefully toward the sound, closing the bedroom door behind me with a soft click, descending the creaking stairs to the first floor. The breeze pushed against me, a feeble resistance, but I pressed on, my heart quickening. As I crossed the dusty floorboards, a memory surged forward, sharp and vivid, pulling me into its grasp. In this memory, I stood at my grandmother's funeral, a somber affair held in a small chapel miles from the hollow. Eleanor had been a recluse, shunned by the townsfolk for her eccentricities, her tales of unseen things whispered only to me. The pews were sparsely filled, strangers with curious eyes, friends who came to support me, and the town's gossips, hungry for secrets. Their faces were gray, leached of color, their whispers like vultures circling a corpse. At the end of the aisle stood Dr. Harlan Voss, Eleanor's physician, the only person she trusted besides me. His face, pale as bone, held a sorrow deeper than the rest, his eyes meeting mine with a weight that spoke of unspoken truths. Without prompting, he told me he'd called the police after Eleanor missed 3 appointments, his voice breaking as he recounted her kindness, her wit. I nodded, unable to respond, and passed the empty casket, a hollow symbol of her absence. The townsfolk's whispers followed me, their questions unanswered, their curiosity insatiable. I shook off the memory, descending to the ground floor where the knocking grew thunderous, each strike a warning of a storm brewing. The twin arched doors loomed ahead, their brass handles gleaming faintly in the dim light. I had driven 2 hours from my apartment that morning, leaving at dawn to inspect and clean this inheritance, expecting solitude. The nearest town was miles away, the nearest farm closer but still remote. No one knew I was here, yet the knocking suggested otherwise. Gripping the handles, I braced myself and flung the doors open, expecting a confrontation. But there was nothing, just the empty clearing, the silent trees, and the lake's dark mirror. The breeze slipped past, chilling my skin. I locked the doors, my hands trembling, and decided to close the windows. The woodland stillness, once comforting, now felt like a threat. I couldn't leave yet. I planned to stay until nightfall, cleaning the house to make it mine, or at least habitable. Grabbing Eleanor's old vacuum from the laundry room, I began the arduous task of clearing the dust, filling garbage bags with the debris of neglect. The work was exhausting, but it kept my mind from the knocking, now silent but lingering in my thoughts. Outside, the hollow had changed. If I'd left the windows open, I might have seen the lake freeze despite the mild air, the leaves wither without falling, the wildlife vanish. A foul presence, thick as rot, drifted through the trees, avoiding the grassy circle around the house. Something had entered the hollow, uninvited and unseen. Night fell, the sky a starless void, the moon hidden behind a haze. I sank into a leather recliner, half the house cleaned, my body aching but satisfied. The silence was broken by muffled thumps, frantic and close, vibrating through the floorboards. I stood, glancing at the locked doors and windows. Nothing. The sound wasn't from outside. Pressing my ear to the wall, I heard nothing, but the floor pulsed beneath me. A voice, soft and unmistakable, whispered my name, Daniel. It was Eleanor's voice, rising from below. My blood ran cold. It couldn't be. She was gone, her body never found. The thumps grew slower, labored, leading me to the kitchen. The sound came from beneath the refrigerator, an impossible source. Against every instinct, I shoved the heavy appliance aside, revealing a trapdoor, its wood mismatched with the floor. The thumps intensified, Eleanor's voice pleading, "Daniel, please open the door." I noticed rusted nail tips protruding from the trapdoor, as if it had been sealed from within. My heart pounded as the nails began to loosen, clinking down stone steps below. A heavy thud followed, like a sack falling. I yanked the trapdoor open, the hinges screaming, and descended into the dark basement, guided only by my heartbeat. The air was damp, the walls cold. I stumbled, my foot catching on nails, and fell, landing on something soft, skin. I screamed, scrambling up, searching for a light switch. My hands found it, and the dim bulbs flickered to life. There she was, Eleanor, face down at the foot of the steps, unchanged since I'd last seen her. No decay, no sign of death, as if she'd merely been sleeping. Her body twitched, rolling over to meet my eyes, a single tear sliding down her cheek. With a final heave, her chest sank, lifeless. Grief crashed over me, the weight I'd suppressed at her funeral now inescapable. A crash upstairs, a window, perhaps, snapped me alert. Black smoke poured from Eleanor's mouth, coiling upward, consuming the basement. The concrete walls turned to dirt, closing in as the room dissolved. I ran, following the smoke up the stairs, only to find the house gone, the floorboards vanished. I stood in the hollow, my car, the path, everything erased by the smoke. The stench of decay overwhelmed me, the lake frozen, the trees dead. A distant orange glow beckoned, a campfire by the lake. I ran toward it, drawn by its promise of warmth. A man sat there, cloaked in black, his face hidden by a hood and a cracked porcelain mask. The smoke slithered into his sleeves, and he nodded, motioning to a log formed from the smoke. "Sit, Daniel. We have much to discuss." His voice was cold, knowing. "How do you know my name?" I demanded. He smiled beneath the mask. "Did Eleanor never tell you about me?" A memory stirred, a story she told me as a child, one I dismissed as a fairy tale. Long ago, a man, ordinary in every way but lazy, met a woman with crimson eyes and ashen skin. She offered him a deal, the power to grant others' desires in exchange for his future. He accepted, asking about the trade's wealth, only to learn it profited her, not him. His left eye turned red, marking him as cursed. Shunned by his town, his future was twisted into despair by the woman, who vanished in black smoke, promising he'd find her when ready. To end the contract, he had to collect others' futures, becoming a wanderer, eternal, reeking of death. Eleanor had warned me, her voice trembling, that this man was real, his deals binding. I faced him now, my fear masked by defiance. "Leave," I said. His smile faded, and he lunged, pinning me to the ground, his mask revealing a writhing shadow and red light. "Reconsider, Daniel," he hissed. I relented, sitting on the log. He explained, as Eleanor's only heir, I inherited her possessions, including her contract with him. I could refuse, but her house, her wealth, everything tied to the deal, would vanish. I wanted to refuse, but he led me to the lake's center, the ice solid despite the fire's heat. Ask a question to seal the deal, he urged. I hesitated, thinking of Eleanor. Could he bring her back? The smoke showed visions. A perfect life, Eleanor alive, my dreams fulfilled. But the lake reflected demons, screaming truths I couldn't face. I know you killed her, I said, my voice steady. He offered to confirm it, but I refused. I won't take your deal. He warned I'd fall, that he'd always be there, but I walked away as the smoke dispersed, the fire faded, and the lake thawed. I fell through the ice, waking in my apartment, the chirping of birds a stark contrast to the hollow's silence. Years later, the man still visits, offering deals before disasters, attacks, crises, wars. I decline each time, piecing together his story, searching for a way to end his curse. The woodland is a biohazard now, its ecosystem collapsed overnight. Eleanor's house, her body, her murder, all gone. She'd nailed the trapdoor shut, hoping to spare me her fate, or perhaps to curse me with those final moments. I live on, not in fear, but haunted by regret. I am the monster, and one day, I know I'll give in to him.